In the sun, for DALIRB, KJM, FXC, JMO, MLK, RVK, and CGES. And for Nathan. It looks like who decides whose love was left in the sun was final above a prehistoric February. We thought mind before mind, attention commanded through colors on the hillside, illusion that things hang together somehow in it, time there, hanging on the black church light, not a late hour, not unlit rose in June. An atmosphere and condition from the evangel-haunted south was always traveling north, boys on street corners or placed long, slow slouch toward on the farthest point of, say, a woman listening to the pure God-rendering voice of a storm. Past fences a woman passed when neither death nor sleep unfurled in her chest, her arms grew cold, spotless, and checking the luggage. We and they were between, after, tired and unsteady, turning pink to ash like gravestone scrupulous erosion. There is the sideways sound pulled back to cunning implication. Tall old fir trees line it on each side, half a mile behind me now, all such aspects of the search yield your body and all you had this morning. The trees spackled with importance always suffer our faces inward arched black, then head back to a unique event such as the crucifixion of Christ. They say it was lonely, but I count 33 Jesuses. Jesus is Jesus. Jesus! Everything's bashed in, butted off, vaporized, has fluttered off with the birds before the fresh, hot blue morning can even alight a ray on the clod. No doubt the wind is stirring, the winds are stirring. This life stirs, the congregation stirs. They all stir. Even the eyelashes' timid moan stirs. Birds flutter between the trees, leaves blush. I mean between the trees, twigs. I mean between the trees, branches, twigs, leaves, blossoms, and birds. And they fly up high till they are under the highest swaying branches, twigs, and leaves. I mean branches. I mean birds under the saints. I mean they fly up high till they are under the birds, twigs, and blossoms that cover over and round off the uppermost forest up above in order to bring gospel to the Forest Birds Club choir. They upset the quiet and tranquility of the forest trees. Happy days, please. I had to dedicate that to Nathan because we were at Betty. This is called Gorky. Gorky is one of my favorite painters. Very tragic. For JD, JF, SP, FP, RP, and MW. I decided this poem should be called My Favorite Painter. Then I decided that it should have a double name, and for 6 months out of the year it should be called The Painter, and for the remaining 6 months it should be called Good Morning, Evil Genius. Gorky, all dressed, advanced, and wrote a few stories in a foreign language. Dwarfed trees, dried shrubs, concrete, and field practices. Yes, yonder. You. You. Everybody's everything. Every exalted, excited eye's faithfulness falling. You may have forgotten to switch on your gaze, so yes, damage has been done. Eyes have floated vacantly into the hole of the east and are rebounding against the back of the hole, which is not situated like a normal black on the rear side of its bearer, but inside the front. Thus, you're confusing black with bottom. The eyes are rebounding over us here and separating. They are flying like saucers slower. You could say their flight seems to be of a slowing down nature. They are aiming for the horizon. And what is a horizon? A horizon is merely a word, but the horizon is a horizon. The eyes were so squinty that the squinting at first bends and then snaps the horizon with a hard crack. referred to in the following as the first fracture. The eyes continue to squint and each grows 2 legs, then a head develops underneath between each pair of ears. The 2 heads each bite into one end of that length of the horizon that came into being as the central fragment during the first fracture. They break it. Each sticks a piece of the horizon. The central fragment has snapped into in its mouth. The pieces slide in a sideways position into the gullets of the 2 heads, get caught inside the heads between the soft backdrops to the throats and the hard upper frontal gums. This occurs inside in the mouth, but the horizon is just a line, but no, it's not a line, it's a word. And now, no longer stretches out as once it did, nor does anyone think to go and stretch it. In the past, it always used to lie like vanilla custard over the majority of stuff, almost everything. It did not load, but simply leaned on itself, lying not lightly, but lightningly and gently, one might say, on itself. Custard in sauce, assuming one wants to make some distinction between in or on. But it so happens that it is now suffering. Indeed, some do suffer principally, those who have become slightly more than accustomed to it, who needed it, just as we, or at least some among us, look around in suffering at our human bodies, which we, suffering more or less grievously, do not miss, but rather to which we, as it were, may I say it, divulge it, sometimes consider we fly back with wings beating, flying back with those little skips which we, or to put it more cautiously, some among us perform now and then, but then each time the gentle question intones, in which direction? Inwardly, of course, just inwardly, as it were. Should we move? Which, if any, religion should we think of in such cases? My recipe, as I say to my own self, is to say our yearning, if often a gentle one, does not have to think of a direction, nor set off in any direction, nor think of or reach a goal. It is inside us, or at least in me, don't laugh, and is simultaneously both the starting line and the goal. Practice 0 for Rob Halpern, who's a very good writer friend of mine. Practice 0 for Rob Halpern, but also for LE, PG, and SM. I'm trying to get through to thy tide. It seems Lenin sometimes played chess at the Cabaret Voltaire. Madness to give physic to those dead, it seems all the world staggers more ugly drunk than we. I am trying to scaffold air raid sirens, deafening diphthong, finding C-sharp. Ugly practice 0, because that is this world at war. It seems that governments like soldiers, like I, like eggs. It seems so, so I thought, in parentheses, with no words inside, of many colored people, placed side by side to form a row of many colored people. Status of, function of, meaning of, and interpretation of as enterprise, and presence as surrogate. While I write this about this question, I ask myself, among other things, what's that all about? Or perhaps I should say, what's that all about? These, after all, are also such things. Balzac remarked, just cut the exaggerations and the punctuation marks. What would Oppen, what would Whitman say that masters me? Our 2 houses house 5 howls, to hear, to mutter, to stuff, to trail, to fall. Do you hear? Hear surroundings and sounds of muttering, stuff and crashing consciousness, to which comes and remains shameless conduct, and the screams of teeth pulling from those whose teeth are pulled, and the screams of him who pulls the teeth. Into this comes falling, in from above, and remains lying inside double consciousness, by which I should have said further consciousness falls onto the above mentioned to make 2 consciousnesses, a double consciousness, and then the stuff falls on top of everything. And then on top of that falls either the stuff or a stuff. and then on top of that falls either the stuff or a stuff, and then on top of that falls either the stuff or a stuff, and then on top of that falls either the stuff or a stuff, and then on top of that falls either the stuff or a stuff. Then on that falls the stuff, and then on that falls a stuff, and thereupon a sound falling down or rising up into the story resounds thereafter like a trailer, and then behind that resounds a sound, another one from the trailer, trailing behind the trailer, or should I have said the sound resounds after it, or that's where the sound resounds from, a controller trailer trailing when I have nothing.